told me on the phone, I still can't believe it. You might say, well, wow, you're a pastor, you're a spiritual care provider, and yet you still cannot accept the reality, and I'm still in shock. I haven't believed still, because Edward has been such an important figure in my life. In the past few years that I know him, and I know him in such a way where I have seen a man who is passionate for life, strong, brave, courageous, so loving, proud of his family, talks about his daughters. He's an amazing man. On behalf of the Far West End Church in Virginia, I'm bringing to you our hearts broken as well. We were all in shock. And I would like to thank those of you here in Markham Church, Orlando, Filipino American Church, and friends and relatives that rallied together to comfort, to support your presence, your prayers. You see, in times like this, we want some to say the things and the right things in a way to comfort and encourage, but without exception, we always feel that our vocabulary is not enough. We cannot really find the right words to say. So to Amanda Lee, Ashley, Marie, to Deborah, to Mimi, to friends and relatives who are here, heart goes with you. And we as a greater family of God are here, and I'm even more amazingly inspired that from different places here in the U.S. you're here. Even from outside here, Dr. Oscar was here with us from Qatar, flew all the way. In a little way, you have given such an amazing comfort to the love that you have shown to all. But there's a greater one, a God who sees and feels what we're going through right now. And even in the great book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, David talks about God and he says, "You keep track of all my sorrows, and you have collected my tears in your book. You have recorded each one in your book." Isn't that an amazing God? God who really comes down and feels the level of our grief. A God who identifies with us. A God who reaches out and says, "I'm here for you. I will walk with you in this difficult trip." That's why the great Paul the Apostle gives us this picture in the book of 1 Thessalonians Thessalonians chapter 4. And at a time where it was difficult to stand up for your faith in a little city, not necessarily little, Thessalonica is a big city, I would say, but those who were faithful to God in that particular place were also in a difficult time where they have to stand up for their faith, and standing up for faith means death. Because it was a time when Christians were being persecuted. Paul gave his counsel, and he says, we don't want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep, or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. And he said, I don't want you to be ignorant. Because he realizes that there are also people who say, well, you should not grieve. You need to have faith. But he said, no, it's okay to grieve, but not without hope. And then he begins to expound it in such a way of those who are sleeping, because now he's bringing what Jesus has spoken before about his friend Lazarus, his best friend, who in his times when he would go to places, he would pass by this particular place and he would be with his family. He called his friends, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Lazarus had a sickness, eventually died. And Jesus said, I'm going to go there and wake him up. And they were like, what is he talking about? He's dead. And Jesus used that word, sleep, to say and give hope, because this is temporary for Edward. There will be a time that he will wake up. And Paul brings this picture to these believers who are suffering for their faith. And then he says, we do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep, meaning those who are dead, or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. We believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. Isn't that an amazing promise? And although we grieve with hope. It's okay to grieve. There's two things that you will find in Scripture that is very clear about people in this process. There are those people who are grieving and groaning, and there are those who are grumbling. When you grumble against God. When you grieve and groan, you groan to God. And that's okay. And you find narrative after narrative in Scripture about people groaning to God. You find Moses groaning to God. You find David groaning to God. You find Job groaning. And then you find Jesus groaning to God. Not against God, but about God. Life is short. There will be a missing chair on the table. There'll be a missing space on the bed. But we need to take heart. Because the reality is that it is appointed that to man who wants to die after this, the judgment. Everyone will go through this process here in this world. Whether you're rich, you're poor, young, you're old. We are vulnerable in this process because something happened in the very beginning. Our first parents chose not to trust God and trust the serpent. That is actually the devil. And it led to this messed up situation in our world today. And I'm tired of it. I tell you. There's a few of our families that was planning to drive from Richmond to here on Thursday night. And like Thursday noontime, I got news that the other families got go because there was death again. A family member died in a motor accident, and they had to cancel the trip. As I was flying here, taking Norfolk instead of Richmond because, you know, I was the only way I can get tickets that everything is booked, sold out. When I got to Norfolk, I already got the ticket, but the counter said, "Is there anyone who can give up a seat?" So it was like, no, I can't do that. So I then learned and realized that my dad is in the ICU. I was like, wow, what a world we're living in. Even the Word of God tells us that life is like a vapor. It's like goes up early in the morning and then gone. That's the brevity of life. That's life is short, and yeah, there are people who live life a little longer than us. My grandma is now 94 years old. We have somebody in church that is already 96, 97 years old. One of the centenarians that is actually world record now is in the Philippines, 120 years old. And there are those who live that long, but it's still short. Because God's original plan is for us not to die. And the story is amazing because we see a God who wants to solve the problem of sin and death. And then he says, and he comes and says, I want to solve it for you. Now he brings that and he says, anyone who believes in me, even if you will die, will live again. That's why Paul is strongly giving us the encouragement, and he says, do not grieve without hope. According to the Lord's word, we tell you that we, and he was talking in encouragement to the people listening to him as this letter was given to them, we who are still alive, who are left till the coming of the Lord, will certainly not precede those who have fallen asleep. Why? Then he declares this very powerful statement. He says, for the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. And then he encourages them, all of us at this moment in time, at their particular time period, he said, all of us who are still alive will be caught together with them in the air, in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air. And so we will be with the Lord forever. You know, he ended his chapter and he says, therefore, encourage each other with these words. A very powerful encouragement for us. As opposed to not knowing where we're going when we die. Is death the end? Because for some, that's it. You die, that's it. You need to live your life. You need to live your life to the fullest, because when you die, that's it. But that's not what God is. The God who gave life, the God who is our creator and redeemer, says, no, I'm going to restore you. I have a plan for you. And because of that plan, I would like to restore you. Death is not the period or the exclamation point in life. It is a comma. Because it's not the end. And Job asked the question in Job 14, verse 14, if a man dies, will he live again? He answered the same question in the next several chapters, chapter 19 to 27. And Job declared, and though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself. And my eyes shall behold, and not another. Yeah, this will die. This body, everything, our breath, our mental capacities, everything will end somehow in death. But God will restore us back. That's why Jesus promised his disciples and every one of us, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go and prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, and where I am, there you may be also. What a beautiful promise that one day we will be with him forever. So, today, God has left us a legacy. One of the greatest thing that he has left is the legacy of faith in God. You see, I had the privilege of witnessing Ed's wedding, being the one who blessed the wedding, their religious rites, and having spent time with Mimi and Ed in marital counseling, and having spent time with Ed, you know, over lunches, and we would spend together, share his passion about life. And you know, there were times when I would just listen and I'm in awe about his life story. And there's nothing I did but just listen to him. But I didn't realize that it really did plant a seed in me. Because he was struggling with faith. He was struggling with the church where he grew up. And why is this happening when supposed people of God needs to do this and that? And I was just listening to him. And he said, I was an altar boy. I was there. But I don't make sense of this anymore. I wanted something else. And while we were talking about it, he realized something that he needed. And he needed a personal relationship with God. It was a journey Because Mimi and Ned, coming from different spiritual backgrounds, had so much that they had, you know, to oppose each other in just that particular thing. But amazingly, God brought them together in a journey. And I said, I'm not going to be here as someone to tell you what to do. I'm going to be here for you to facilitate your journey with God together. And oh boy, what a transformation. One day, he said, Pastor, I want to